Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast brought to you by WinBet. Jeff Erickson, Chris Liss here. It's Week 17 takeaways. Wildly disparate results for our respective NFL teams. But you did walk away with the FSGA championship, so congrats to that right away off the top.
Thank you. That was nice. I was tracking it. It's like low stakes compared to the Circa pool and these NFFC pools. But there's like the Circa pool, then there's like a huge step down, and there's NFFC pools, then there's another huge step down, and then there's like the industry stuff. But there's some money involved. And I faced Mike Clay, who's a very good player and had actually won this league a couple of times recently. He knocked me out of the playoffs a couple of years ago. He's been sort of the Goliath of this league, so it was nice to slay him. And he was gracious about it and mentioned it on Twitter. So that was fun. Actually, it was pretty dicey until like the fourth quarter of the late games. I had a lot of players going, and he had Michael Gallup gets a touchdown. I was like, oh no, he's up like 30, gets Michael Gallup touchdown. But then Gallup gets hurt, so he was out of players. So I had all these guys like Debo and Elijah Mitchell and Mike Williams who'd done nothing. And then Debo gets a bomb, 45-yard touchdown, scores. And a couple of minutes later, Mike Williams gets a giant long touchdown, scores. And then I was like, I got it. So it was nice.
It's so funny because I know that whole moment because I was doing a radio hit at the time with Dave Farah, and it was fun to see that happening in real time, knowing that mattered for me too. I have a lot of Debo and Williams, and like, yeah. Now I'm still in the bargaining phase. Pat Doherty posted something like, "You can see why Deontay Johnson is trending last night." There's a lot of bargaining going on right now. It's like, please Deontay, please go off tonight. I need Deontay. I need Chubb. One league I lost the Vegas league to Jason Brown. Unfortunately, he
knocked me out too. He knocked me out too.
He had to choose between Burrow and Kyler Murray. He chose wisely. Murray didn't play badly, but Burrow went off again. And that was the difference. That was the margin of victory for him over me. So,
Burrow's going down that Billy Volek career path. It's nice to see.
Go ahead and say that. It is nice to have a franchise QB.
The Andrew Luck career path. No, I mean, I said this in my column. I said it would be so Bengals for them to have this incredible win. I mean, they beat the number 1 seed. They were down. They came back. They get their electrifying, number 4 or 5 overall pick to go insane. And Burrow looks like, one of the superstar quarterbacks of the league. Everything's great. And then he gets hurt. The game's basically in hand. And he gets hurt on this crazy sequence at the end. I don't want to go into it. It was so boring. I was just like, just come on, just get this over with. I actually, Mike Clay had Burrow. So I was just like, please, Joe Mixon, get it in. Or,
right. Anyone did get in on that play, by the way. It's just that there were offsetting penalties. So
right. And then Burrow snuck it twice and almost got in. So that would have hurt. Turned out it wouldn't matter. But at the time, that was before the Mike Williams and Debo explosion. So
do you realize how perfectly they middled that, though? Getting the first down on 3rd and 1 just so they could run more clock.
And then getting the penalty, and then right. So like they get another penalty to start.
There's dueling penalties. And then they got the penalty end zone on 4th down. Right. I mean, the Chiefs stopped him, but it was a totally obvious, legit call. But the kvetching going on by Chiefs fans. I mean, come on, that was clearly a penalty.
But they would have been way better off letting them score because that penalty was game over. All they needed was a chip shot. They didn't even need Burrow. They just had the backup come in and kneel down a few times, but. He almost it's a little shaky with the backup QB getting the snap. He got that with 2 seconds, and it was sort of like, you better get that thing spiked.
What if he fumbles the snap? Exactly.
But
that would have been the most Bengals thing ever, by the way, is to have the backup QB in there and he fumbles the snap and can't spike it in time or something like that.
Now, the only thing more Bengals is if Burrow's hurt. Now, hopefully it's just a little sore knee or something.
He was walking around fine after the game.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be all right. He probably won't play this week, though. Here's the thing: they've clinched the division. Now, is there value in getting the 3 seed or the 2 seed versus the 4? There's only one bye. It's just a matter of trying to choose your opponent, but choosing your opponent's not really set. I think the one thing you want to do is avoid the Pats, which is you want to get the 3 seed.
Right, but you might end up with the Colts or something. You might end up with the.
you're going to get the Colts, Raiders, or Chargers. I mean, that's pretty much what it looks like there.
Well, the Raiders, I think you want the Raiders if they get in. But if the Chargers win, I think all those teams are a bit. I mean, the Chargers in a cold weather venue, I wouldn't mind. You can't really run the ball, and they can't really stop the run. I actually think the Chargers is a soft matchup. I mean, Herbert's dangerous, and the receivers are dangerous, but I think the Pats are kind of ugly to play. I think that obviously, I think the Colts in a cold weather venue could just smash you, and you you might lose that game. But the AFC is, I've never seen a conference. Forget about the AFC. I've never seen a conference this wide open. Like there is no favorite. The Titans are the favorite because they've got a bye, so they don't even have to play an extra game. They don't have a bye. They got to win in Houston, and then they'll have the bye.
But given that they lost at home to Houston previously, I mean,
it's not a loss,
can't take anything for granted.
And Houston plays hard against everybody, but I think the Titans, Mike Vrabel's coach of the year, if they win this game, get the 1 seed, I mean, that's just sick what they did. You know, they lose Henry, they lose Brown for half the season, they lose Julio Jones for half the season.
And they never had him. Julio did nothing this year.
Yeah, he did nothing. And then, you know, I mean, to get that defense and just that offensive line and just whoever the running backs were behind them, and to get to that point and play all those teams. I mean, they beat the Rams, they crushed the Chiefs. You know, they beat the Bills. They beat the good teams. They beat the Colts twice. I mean, this was not – they had a lot of Jaguars, Texans. They lost to the Jets and Texans, by the way. But they beat like a who's who. They beat the Niners. You know, they got crushed by the Cardinals in week 1. But they really, given the circumstances, it's like they had almost as bad of luck as the Ravens did. And the Ravens are probably not going to make the playoffs, whereas the Titans might be the 1 seed.
Yeah, and they crushed the Dolphins yesterday. I just, you know, Jim Coventry goes, you know, I think the Miami might have a letdown here. They've gone on this crazy streak. They played on Monday night, and I kind of dismissed it because they're like, hey, they're playing for their playoff life. They've been playing hard. They're a pain in the ass to play against. No, Jim was right on that one. There's 2 games I completely whiffed. It was that one, and then Rams-Ravens. I thought that Stafford was going to pass all over that, you know, injury rack secondary. I mean, I talk about another good coach. John Harbaugh got that team to play hard too. I mean, that team had no business even competing against the Rams, but they made life really difficult on Stafford. Stafford came up small and what should have been a smash matchup there.
Yeah. I had the Ravens against the spread, so I like that.
I know you did.
I can't believe I took the Giants against the spread. I knew the Giants were dead. I've watched some of the games. And Mike Glennon, I don't even watch anymore now because it's like I don't care. Like it's the Mike Glennon. It's not even like Trough Eli or Daniel Jones or like somebody who's going to make the bad mistake, but it's an NFL player making a bad mistake. This is like they have a high school team out there on offense, and I was like, oh, but you know they sometimes play tough as underdogs, and the Bears aren't that good. That was so dumb. That was just giving away one. It was like, of course the Bears were going to cover and smash. Of course they were. That one and the other one I screwed up was Dallas, Arizona. I saw Dallas crush against Washington, and obviously the Arizona losing 3 in a row. They were the buy low, obviously. But I was just like, Arizona, I guess I was resentful after they knocked me out of that survivor pool or something. But I was like, they're not going to do anything against that Dallas defense. And, of course, they did. And Dak just looks off, man. He was missing open guys. I mean, Tyron Smith was back. I mean, Dak just – there's something wrong with that whole team. I mean, they are the best personnel in the league, the Cowboys. You look at that defense, how loaded it is, the offense. This is the best team in the league, but they're not going to go anywhere. And then I thought about this, you know, look at Aaron Rodgers' last 3 years with Mike McCarthy. They were pedestrian. And now Rodgers, you know, is, you know, whether he gets the votes or not, he's the MVP 2 years in a row, best player in the league. And so it might be McCarthy. I don't know what it is, but Dallas is not as good as their players right now. And that's, you know, I mean, you look at that team, that defense, and then, you know, the fact they have Dak and a all-world offensive line and Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. I mean, this Gallup, this should be, you know, the 1 seed. This should be the overall 1 seed personnel-wise.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think you're probably right. Well, I think the Packers are still that notch above. I mean, Rodgers is such a qualitative difference over any other quarterback. Maybe not Brady, you know. But
Brady made an insane drive with no timeouts, with scrub receivers.
And no personnel.
Yeah, and just but it was the Jets. But still, it was like he just was like, we're just going to win this game. We're not going to lose to the Jets. And remember, I almost took the Jets in our force the bet, and I couldn't quite do it. And then the whole game, I was like, damn it, I should have taken just. Who did I take? I can't even remember.
I don't know.
But maybe it was the Lions or something stupid like that.
I think I took the Lions, actually.
Yeah. Okay, give Dan Campbell coach of the decade, because that Lions team was down like 3 or 4 touchdowns with Tim Boyle as QB, and they're like fighting onside kick, playing tooth and nail. I mean, the fact that that team's competing, you know, midway through the fourth quarter with that deficit on the road with 2-13 record with Tim Boyle as their QB. I mean, that is a coach. That is a guy that gets his players to play.
I agree. I mean, they are remarkable on how hard they grind. They grind, and you can see that Detroit and Houston both. They may not be good, although Houston. Okay, we got to talk about Houston. So you ended up taking the Steelers, so you're still alive tonight. By the way, I had to look that up.
Oh, right, that's right.
I've got the Lions, and at least they battled for me. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I know we're kind of all over the map here, but before I forget about the Texans, they played hard, but about 6:45 left in the game. They're down 10 points. They're in San Francisco territory, 4th and 8, and they punt.
Yeah.
They punt, Chris. What are we doing here? I mean, there are two things. There are two teams that did there were coaching decisions where players don't punt. Players don't kick, they don't surrender games, but coaches do. So there was that punt, and then there was the Jets against the Bucks, 4th and 2, up 4.
No, I like
get you to 7.
I liked it though. I
like going for it. Okay, but a quarterback sneak on 4th and 2, that was dead on the play call.
But I like it because they were like, look, Brady's going to get the ball back. He has a chance to score a touchdown, at least tie us. And he's like, if we get this, we win the game.
It's not, you don't make it, you lose.
But then you go into overtime. I think you have a chance to win the game now with the successful sneak.
No, but it was not. It's 4th and 2. If it was 4th and 1, I see it, but it had no chance of making it. It was dead on arrival.
Well, I mean, it might have been a bad play call, but like 4th and 2,
horrific play call.
4th and 2. I don't know. I support it. I think it was badass. You got the record you do as the Jets. You got the Bucks on the ropes. Finish them. You got to finish them. You kick the field goal. You're basically saying, here's some free life, Tom Brady. See if you can get back in the game.
They tried to finish him because it makes it 7. I mean, because you give the ball to the Bucks regardless, either way, and they know they need a touchdown either way. Right. It's one thing that if it's one of those go up 6 things,
right?
That's
you're not incentivizing.
Right, is different.
Right. You're not incentivizing them to beat you with the touchdown. You're incentivizing them to tie you with the touchdown. You're not even incentivizing because they're already incentivized to get the touchdown anyway, down 4. But I don't know, man. I think that so if you kick the field goal, first of all, they get better field position. So they probably get 20 extra yards of field position if you get the field goal.
Right? It would have been on the 20.
Was it the 20? I thought they were closer than that.
No, that's the other thing. It's not like they were guaranteed to score after that either. I understand.
Yeah, but how much time was left in the game? Yeah, if they get the first down, they really get it down to almost nothing because
there's 2 minutes left.
I think they win the game if they get it. I think it's good. It's 2 yards to win the game, rather than
run a play. Then don't just do this.
Well, I mean, if the sneak works, it's good. It's just that they have a stout defensive line, and also, do you really want Zach Wilson rolling out, trying to throw the ball and getting an incomplete pass?
Yes, you get it in the hands of Braxton Berrios, who was killing the Bucks all day.
Well, why not just direct snap it and wildcat to Berrios or something like that?
That would have been better. I'm telling you, it was like a quarterback sneak, and I don't think it wasn't like it was a shotgun. It was just a quarterback sneak.
Right.
What are you doing here?
Yeah, but I'm on board with the go. The thing is, that was huge though, because if the Bucks lose that, the Packers have the 1 seed, so that doesn't matter. But I think this matters.
That's clinched even. Yeah.
Because you avoid the Bucks till the championship game. I mean, you avoid the Packers in Lambeau till the championship game, which I think is good. You can get a home game. Who won that Rams-Bucks game? The Bucks beat the Rams. One of them blew out the other. I can't remember who it was.
Rams beat the Bucks. Because remember, the Bucks are a different team on the road than they are at home.
Okay, so this is kind of big because that's what it was. So the Rams barely winning and the Bucks barely winning. These are big things because the Rams play the Niners. It's a tough game next week. But I haven't looked up who the Bucks play. I think it's someone bad. But those games are big because this is the 2 and the 3 seed basically. Dallas lost, so they were the 2 seed, so they're out of the top 2. So if those teams win this week, Bucks Rams, where that game is depends on these teams winning, and now that the Rams won, the Rams would host the Bucks as the 2 seed, and I don't know. It's and then the 4 seed Dallas would go to Green Bay if everything held up.
Yeah, it would. So that is massive. So and now and I'll get into this in a sec, but I'm starting to think of all these divisional games for Week 18 and trying to find a survivor thing. So we'll talk about that in a sec. But first, a quick note from our consistent sponsor, WinBet. If there's one thing we appreciate here at RotoWire, it's making good decisions, and even more so, making the right decision. Listen up, folks. I have an incredible offer for you with RotoWire's newest partner, WinBet, the premier digital casino and sportsbook app. WinBet is now the exclusive sponsor for RotoWire's Fantasy Podcast. WinBet brings you all the latest action with a user-friendly interface, moneyline bets, boosted parlays, over-unders, round robins, live betting, and so much more are at your fingertips. Want a break from sports betting? Head into WinBet's digital casino and take a spin on roulette, double down on blackjack, slam the slots, or try your hand at baccarat. WinBet is currently available in 7 states: Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia, while rapidly expanding. At WinBet, the possibilities are limitless. WinBet is currently offering all RotoWire listeners a risk-free bet up to $500 on your first wager. Download WinBet now. That's WYNNBET. WinBet, the exclusive partner for RotoWire's Fantasy Podcasts. So, Chris, I'm already starting to think about Survivor. I'm still alive in my one two-strike pool. I have no strikes. One guy has 1 strike. He had Green Bay last night going for him. So I was like, okay, that's didn't have to,
Wait,
there was no sweating
you
for
have
me.
no strikes.
Yep.
The whole year. Every week you've picked
Correct.
a different team and you haven't got one wrong.
Correct.
Why
I took
are
the
you
Chargers
in this
last
bullshit
week.
little pool, Jeff? Why didn't you sign up for Circa with me when we were in Vegas?
Because it would have been 2 other extra picks, and I would have missed.
Oh, right. Because Thanksgiving and Christmas is a real. That is a real. That really does. But that really changed. Although for us, it didn't matter for Thanksgiving at all because
Christmas it did though. Yeah.
No, it might have, but we lost in week 15. But Thanksgiving we used the Bears and Falcons that week. So like that, we didn't use anything we would ever want to use again. Maybe we could use the Bears this week. But anyway. You should have just signed up for that Circa pool, Jeff. You can't squander this on make like $2,000.
I know. I should have at least.
You're like it's like you won a $5 number. It's like you did the $5 DFS tournament. And you won $2,000, and you had like 50 more points than the dude in the Millie Maker.
Right.
More
Yeah,
points, and you're like, dude, this lineup should be worth billions, and now you got thousands for it.
I'm worth.
It's just like
thousands.
24 season 3, 24, whatever season 4, 24.
Yes, we're millionaires, but we could be billionaires.
Yes.
But it's funny. I was walking Harley this morning. And I was thinking about this and thinking, okay, I'm already starting to think about what I need to do for Survivor. And I've got my AirPods on. I'm listening to just Spotify on my phone. And the Underdog comes on my play rotation. It was perfect. It was like the universe knows I should be thinking about this now.
Walking the dogs where all your best ideas come. Oscar got me a couple of good picks too. I think you got to wait, obviously, this week to just see, like, first of all, like take stock of all the seating and like who's playing for what, and then once you kind of got that all down, then you start to have an idea.
Yeah, that's right. I want to think: do I want to fade the Giants? I do want to fade the Giants, but they're playing the football team. Like, and it's a football team on the road. No, I don't.
The Giants with Mike Glennon, though, are not a team. I think the football team, I think this line, I'm just going to make up a line right now. Football team minus 9.5 or something like that. I mean, it's so bad. It won't be that line, but it's like Mike Glennon threw 11 passes, completed 4 for like 22 yards this week. I mean, it's that bad. They just don't even have a passing game.
And Joe Judge went on this bizarre rant after, and he goes, I have former players that are making more money elsewhere that wish they were here being part of what we're being. Really? Name them. It's like, don't lie. Come on. Stop that. But it was, and then someone did like try to break down who it could possibly be. And
wait, 4 players to what? What is he talking about? 4 players of what?
He goes, I had multiple players because someone asked him like, what do you have to do to get this on the right track? He goes, we are closer to being there than not. He goes on this long rant. I guess he was cursing in it a little bit. He goes, I have players that were formerly on this team. They're making more money elsewhere, but they wish they were here.
Former players that wish they were there. Like,
it was totally like Breakfast Club, many girls in the Niagara Falls area sort of rant.
Right.
And it was really bad. Like, what are they doing with this guy? And they already kind of said they're down with him. They kind of like.
Well, I don't care about Judge so much. To me, like the issue really was, and I actually, I've said I like Gettleman. Okay, I mean, I don't think but the stat freaks who are like, oh my God, he drafted a running back. I can't believe it. Like, I don't care about that. The real problem with this team, and it has been for the last 4 years, is the offensive line has been terrible. and they invested in the offensive line. It's not for lack of investment. They took Will Hernandez in 2018 in the second round. They took Andrew Thomas with the 4th overall pick 2 years ago. They took Matt Pert in like the 3rd round. They took guys. They made investments. They signed players. And it's just been a fail. They just haven't got an offensive line that's competent. And then, Daniel Jones is, below average, but then Mike Glennon is like not even a credible backup. Mike Glennon is the Sean Mannion. He's like a poor man's Sean Mannion. So
he's like Nathan Peterman. I mean,
he's like Nathan level. Peterman. He's below. You can't really go lower than Mike Glennon in the NFL. So
I love how he went out of his way to make sure that game was over immediately too yesterday. Like they fumbled the snap or got an interception on the very first offensive play.
That was game over right away.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, and it's too bad because like I think they have some pieces, Bradbury, Leonard Williams. I feel like Xavier McKinney came on a little bit. I feel like their team, Aziz Azulari, seems like a good edge rusher. I mean, they have some players. It's just the offensive line is so poor. And Tony, on the very rare occasion that he's healthy, looks great. Yeah. But their offensive line is so poor, and the quarterback play was so bad in those conditions that there's nothing to do because the defense is sitting on the field all day. And of course it collapses, and so I think
the Lions are moving the ball with Tim Boyle for crying out loud.
I know. And that is, but they do have a good offensive line, the Lions. That's the one thing they have.
Yeah.
But a lot of that is coaching too. Like it's like Dan Campbell gets that offensive line ready to play. Like how much, in some ways, like these are all pros and you can't use the excuse of personnel. At a certain point, you can't use the excuse of personnel.
Right.
In terms of just getting destroyed. Like you should be able to coach, these professionals to like compete. And if you can't, then you're probably not a great coach. I don't know. I wouldn't be sad to see Judge go. I think most people want to see him go. I don't know but I don't know that that's the thing. I just think for whatever reason, and maybe coaching is a big part of it, the offensive line is just not. And then you combine that with the quarterback play, you're already dead. You have no offense at all.
Right.
And then you have a defense that's just like, okay. And then it just gets worn down and destroyed pretty quickly.
Yeah, and even worse, it's not a great year in the draft. At least it doesn't project to be a great year in the draft for players that could be game changers, especially quarterback, which is the verdict's still out. Daniel Jones. I mean, I don't think.
I think it's in. I mean, the conditions were terrible, and I think Jones could be like a decent quarterback, like Case Keenum or somebody in a decent situation. And Case Keenum made a Pro Bowl and took the Vikings to the playoffs. I think it could be that level. But I don't think there's a huge danger that if they let go of Daniel Jones, that he's going to blow up as a superstar somewhere. I just don't think he has the feel for it. So I'm not really, right. I mean, Tannehill would be the comp that you'd be worried about because he's this big athletic quarterback, big, right. Tall, athletic. That would be sort of best case scenario for Jones. But Tannehill was better on the Dolphins even than Jones was on the Giants. Tannehill was okay. Jones is a little bit worse than that. So even though Tannehill was a punchline, Daniel Jones is kind of a punchline. I think I would just draft 2 offensive linemen or depending on what's there, an offensive lineman and an edge rusher, an offensive lineman and a cornerback, whatever. And with those 2 top 10 picks, just try to get 2 really good players. Just try to get 2 really good players. A linebacker, that's fine too. It doesn't really matter. Just 2 really good players. And then maybe ride it out with Jones one more year if they can improve the offensive line, and then let him go. Don't extend him. And then draft the quarterback in 2023. Yeah,
I think that might be the thing. And it's frustrating because you're like, okay, I want to get that one. I want to address this now, but there may be nothing to address.
Don't force it, and you could also, jettison Jones, take 2 offensive linemen and then sign just a Heineke Keenum type guy and just think, okay, well, we can, maybe make the playoffs if our defense is good. But I just think like, you want to kind of rebuild this from the foundations and just draft 2 great players. Don't worry about the quarterback. I think Jones is just a little below average if everything's better. If the circumstances is good, you'll see that he's average-ish, and then and just live with that, and then get a good pick next year.
Yeah, I think that's right. I want to talk about a little bit more Bengals because, of course, I want to talk Bengals. But first, note from a new sponsor today. This episode of the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast is brought to you by HOFR. Daily fantasy sports redefined. No confusing salary caps, no annoying player drafts, just simple multiple choice questions on the stats you know and the players you love. That's right, the majority of HOFR contests focus on single sporting events and only feature questions about popular players and recognizable stats, allowing users to make their picks confidently and quickly. Plus, you never play against the house or versus those fantasy sharks. The playing field is level for even the most amateur user to find him or herself landing in the money. Unlike those other apps where an innocent answer or an incorrect answer can end your night, on HOFR, incorrect answers never eliminate you from the competition. We played the other night, and the questions were as simple as how many touchdowns will Tom Brady throw? Which player will have the most rushing yards? So make your NFL Sunday picks with confidence and ease on HOFR. So do not wait another second. Download HOFR, that's HOFR, from the Apple App Store or Google Play Store right now. HOFR, it's everything the fantasy sports world has been waiting for. Thank you to HOFR for joining us on the RotoWire Fantasy Football Podcast. Jeff Erickson, Chris Liss here. There's a lot of talk about, okay, the Bengals are set for the future. I think the future is now. I think this is actually a critical year, in the playoffs. They get a home game for the playoffs. They're locked in on that. I understand next year's going to be great because you've got Burrow, you got Chase, you got Higgins. Those guys are two guys in year two, one guy in their rookie year. Mixon signed for multiple years. They got a left tackle in Jonah Williams, who's good. They got Hendrickson for another couple of years because of their deal. I understand next year should be good, but I'm telling you, Lightning, you don't know what's going to happen. Burrow could get hurt again. Anybody could get hurt again. Chase could get hurt again. I think it's imperative they go get a playoff win this year and try to make a run this year. They've shown they can beat the Chiefs. If you get a legit win like that, I think it's not pressure is on, but this is like, let's go get that playoff win now. Let's go make a run now. Not just playoff win.
Yeah,
wins. You go
get to the Super Bowl and see what happens.
Right.
I feel like there's no one in the AFC that can confidently say they're better than the Bengals. Right? They just beat the Chiefs. The Patriots are this weird, smash mouth style, which might win, but they don't know. And then the Titans have done a great job, but they're pretty thin personnel wise, and their defense has played pretty well, but they can easily be beaten. You look at the Bills; they're kind of a scary team, but they can't run the ball, and they lost Tre'Davious White.
They did yesterday, though.
They did yesterday against the Falcons at home. But in general, that's not their style. They throw, a ton, and they were 14.5-point favorites. They're not going to be 14.5-point favorites in any playoff games. So I think that it's wide open. The Bills could come out easily. The Chiefs could come out easily. The Bengals could come out easily. I just think even the Colts are, if they can get in, are dangerous with the running game. I think Wenzel screwed up, but I think any team except the Raiders. And I hope the Raiders make it because the Raiders got their coach canceled in week 4. And then they got a tragic drunk driving incident that, ended the career of Henry Ruggs and someone's life. And yet here they are in week, 18, win and get in. So the Raiders are and they're the Raiders also. But they're a good story. So I feel like the Chargers have a puncher's chance because of Herbert. I think the Raiders have no chance to do anything. Maybe if Waller came back, they could have a chance. But I think any team in the AFC could win the conference. And I think that I've never seen it this open. I've never seen it this way. There's not a single team that I would, except the Raiders that are alive, that I would say, and the Steelers are alive.
Steelers are alive too.
Yeah, but they can't win it. But point is, I think the Ravens are still alive, technically. No, they're not. Those teams can't win it. But I've never seen, 6 or 7 teams with a shot in a conference like this.
Yeah. I think the Ravens are still alive, actually, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I don't see the elimination thing next to them yet. So there must be some sort of they get to 9-8 and the Colts lose, the Chargers lose, because I'm squinting. I think, who won Colts Ravens? Ravens beat the Colts, right?
No,
on that Monday night game.
I think the Colts beat the Ravens.
The Ravens did beat the Colts. Remember, they had the big
Ravens
went crazy that night.
Okay. So Ravens beat the Colts. So yeah, they would get to 9-8. Colts lose week. Who do the Colts play next week?
Colts play the Jaguars. They're not going to lose.
Okay. So Colts are in. I mean, that's okay. So that's okay. That's kind of big. So the Colts are
that's
definitely
what
in.
they're
So that's it. It's
technically alive.
Yeah, but Colts are in, and then it's Chargers Raiders for the last spot, basically.
Pretty much. I think that's what it's being set up as, and in fact, Chargers Raiders are the Sunday night game next week because it's a win and in sort of game. But yeah, that's because I think that's how it works. Is even though the Chargers are currently the 7 seed, they've got a better chance of making the playoffs than the Colts but they have to go to Vegas. I think the game's in Vegas.
No, they don't have a better chance of making it than the Colts. Colts just have to beat the Jaguars. The Chargers have to win. Yeah, in Vegas. That's a tough.
I get okay. You're right. You're right. I guess I'm just you're right. Yeah,
put the Colts in. Put the Colts in because they'd have to have a total just fall apart against the league's worst team, and then the Chargers Raiders. That's Chargers in Vegas is like 50-50. You know, that's a coin flip.
Yeah, I thought the Colts would smash the Raiders. I'm not. Well, then again, I mean, they had the whole. I thought that before the Wentz situation, I should say. Yeah. And Wentz, you know, he had no practice during the week. Maybe that mattered a little bit. He was pretty awful yesterday. The Colts, so they're down 3 kind of late. They're driving and they go into the shell. And I got to rewatch the game to watch the specific circumstances here. But I saw on Twitter basically like the Colts are playing for the field goal here. And they did get the field goal. They tied it. And of course, the Raiders drove and scored. They could have scored they almost scored a touchdown, but that got called back. And they settled for but that was actually better because they could, like the Bengals, they could run clock and not give the Colts the ball with any time. They could kick it as the time expired. And that's what they did to win. It was a little bit of a farther field goal than it was for the Bengals, but still, you know, the Colts were kind of off. They were losing much of the day. It wasn't like they were like the Raiders came back. The Raiders were the team that was ahead most of the game in this game.
Yeah, and they just don't use Taylor in the passing game. I mean, like, the guy's a good pass catcher, and they were using him a bunch earlier. It's not like because Nyheim Hines is always on the field. Taylor's on the field all the time. Carson Wentz just doesn't really look to check down. I don't think Frank Reich has done a great job with that offense. I just feel like it's Jonathan Taylor, and it's like once in a while, Wentz will scramble around and make a mistake, or sometimes get a deep ball to Pittman or T.Y. Hilton or somebody, but it's just not – the offense doesn't have like a rhythm to it. It's all just handing the ball off.
See, I think they could win any one given game. I don't see them winning 4 games. I don't see them winning 3 games. I think that's the problem with them because of that factor. They're just off a little bit there.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it because if the offensive line is completely healthy, a dominant running game in the playoffs. You saw the Titans do it a couple years ago where they knocked out the Ravens, they knocked out the Patriots, and they finally fell short against the Chiefs. And I think they were winning in that game early. But like, I think they can do it. I think that, and there's no juggernaut, you know, really this year. But I think they have a chance. I think any of these AFC teams have a chance, except probably the Raiders. And if Waller ever got back 100% healthy, even the Raiders would have a chance. It's just the brand is so tainted that it's hard to even imagine it.
Yeah, that's right. So they're just kind of one of those teams that's like, I don't know. I don't know what to think about them. Hey, we've gone this whole podcast barely mentioning the big story of the day. Antonio Brown.
Real man? You're talking about the real man?
Yeah, so news is coming out today.
Slapshot. Remember Slapshot? The movie?
I do remember Slapshot. Yes.
Remember?
I've seen the comparison being made. Yes.
Oh, you have? Okay. I didn't see it, so I just made it. I'm sure it was obvious though. The guy takes it off his clothes, skating around the rink. He just pulled a slap shot. He probably watched the movie recently and was inspired. And Bruce Arians, you can't fire him after the game. You can't fire someone who quit. He's like, oh, you're fired? No, I already left. He just took off his clothes and left. So what was the deal? He was benched for something and then he got mad about it. What was the story?
No. He aggravated his ankle, missed practice on Friday, right? And there was some question whether he's going to be able to play in the game. Apparently, Arians wanted him back in the game, and he said, "My ankle's hurting. I can't come in." Mm-hmm. And Arians said, "Fine, get out of here." Like, he basically kicked him off right there.
Oh,
that's what they're saying. And then Brown went crazy. Now, maybe he meant just get away from the sideline there a little bit or something like that.
Arians may get the, if he's not careful, he may get the Urban Meyer treatment. You know, it's like you're kicking the kicker. You're telling an injured player he has to get back in after he informs you that he's injured and he can't go back in. I mean.
See, but here's the thing. He's Bruce Arians. He's this, cool guy. They won last year. He's got all this credit in the bank.
Right, but you should.
Antonio Brown has the negative credit
Yeah, he
So
does.
no one's going to believe Brown, right?
But that's really biased, because like the incident's the incident. I mean, like what happened is what happened. And
I agree.
and it's not really probative. And this is why in the court of law, you're not allowed to bring up certain things that are too prejudicial. You can't just bring up like past things that are not related to the current case. You're literally not allowed. If somebody's on trial, for, assault, you can't bring up, well, 2 years ago, he assaulted me, if it has no bearing on the current case, because it's going to prejudice the jury so much. Like, oh, he's a guy who assaults people, then he probably did this one too. You're not allowed to bring that in. It's just not admissible. And, basically people are violating these obviously smart principles to convict somebody. That's interesting. And I'm sure
It's
Brady
not the court of law, though. It's the court of public opinion,
Well,
and that the rules don't apply, unfortunately.
It is until it is in the short term, but in the long term, there could be a lawsuit. And secondly, how's Tom Brady going to feel about the fact that, one of his key receivers with Godwin out on, his 8th Super Bowl run has been kicked off the team without consulting him, and that the reason he was kicked off the team, and obviously they're going to talk, they have each other's texts. He's going to say, look, I probably shouldn't have done the striptease thing. That was obnoxious. But the reality is this guy was not respecting the fact that I was injured, and he kicked me out of the game. And,
now this is also self-serving testimony, though, too. I mean, on his side of things here.
Well,
also.
you don't have to believe the witness. You can obviously cross-examine him and say, well, why did you do that? What was this whole thing? But anyway, we'll see Bruce Arians' side of it. But like, because you're saying that Antonio Brown said, get back in there. And he said, my ankle hurts. This is not like confirmed by anybody else.
Right. And that saw this from a Yahoo report. I think it was Charles Robinson that was reporting that this morning. So
anyway, I'm pro crazy people. I
know you are.
The eccentric guy. I think they get unfairly demonized most of the time. And Brown has done some actually bad things too, but like, the eccentric stuff, like who really cares? If Bruce Arians did kick him out, let's forget about all I don't really care that he took his shirt off and walked around. Like that to me that's just clown stuff. It doesn't really matter. The question is, did he quit on the team, or did the coach say, get out of here? I think that's the major question. Like, who quit? But because if Bruce Arians was the one who told him to leave, then you can't say he quit on the team. Now, he did quit on the Steelers, but again, that's the same thing. Like you're saying, well, because he quit then, he quit now.
Yeah, I think that's right. So yeah, that's tough. And the thing is, I don't find the situation funny because it could be just a huge mental health issue. So I tried to avoid giving a take yesterday when everybody else was giving their take. So because there's
light, it could be mental illness, CTE.
Right. We don't know what happened. And so just the fact is he walked off and he did what he did. And it's sad. Brady was empathetic. He even used the word empathy. You should use some empathy. He's still our friend, all that. Okay. If Brady's going to do it, it's good enough.
I mean, again, I don't think it's that like, I wouldn't go so far as to say this. Like, again, like he took his shirt off and walked out. Like, it's not like he ran naked down the street or he wrapped his car around a tree or committed some assault or did something like that. He just simply walked out and took his shirt off. This isn't like some tragic circumstance. This is not Henry Ruggs. I feel like people just group everything together. Like weird thing with a player happened. Unfortunate thing that was bad for his career happened. Oh my God, mental illness.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just like, maybe he's just tired of taking shit. Maybe his ankle did hurt and he was just like, screw you, man. You're not, but maybe they're pissed at him because they're like, why did you have that fake vax card? So they're pissed at him for missing 3 games already. So there's already like some beef. Who knows?
Right. That's right. It's just now they're just trying to do what they can with what they have left, which is pretty amazing. I mean, Brady, I gotta say, Brady's finding guys that are coming off the street, and they're just, they're what's the kid's name who scored the touchdown yesterday?
I didn't remember the winning touchdown. The guy who was like the sprinter guy.
Yeah, track star, Cyril Grayson. This is 2 weeks in a row now. Grayson has come off the practice squad and made an impact in the game. He had like a decent impact last week too. This is the guy that barely. I don't think he even played at LSU. He was on the track team. He's like a world-class sprinter. How many times do we joke about? Why don't the Raiders have him if he's a sprinter?
Right.
But he went 6 for 81 last week. It wasn't just the touchdown. He
right?
went 6 for 81. He went 3
28
for
years
81 the
old.
week before.
This guy's 28 years old. I mean, it's great.
He's not
Brady,
a kid. Yeah, 28. Yeah.
The fact that Brady was able to throw that, it was a really nice pass that he threw for the winner. By the way, we didn't get into detail about some of the sick Jamar Chase catches in traffic. It wasn't like he was just like, it's one thing if the guy's like, there's like a lot of those big receiving days, those all-time games. It's like there's some defensive miscommunications and the guy's just running free and the quarterback
like the week before against the Ravens. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
But like that was T. Higgins. But this was like in traffic. I mean, he was guarded and if the ball was in the air, he was snagging it.
He mossed a guy right after the guy, like 2 plays before the KC defender did his little dance, the gritty thing that all the LSU receivers do after breaking up a pass.
Right.
2 plays later, he mosses him and for the touchdown. It was beautiful. The Chiefs were still ahead at the time, but one other thing before we get to it, one last note. But the other thing, for all the talk about the refs and for all the great play that Chase did, the Bengals defense allowed 3 points in the second half. The Chiefs can complain all they want. The fact is, their offense did jack in the second half. They scored 3 points.
Well, dude, the Chiefs are not the Chiefs. I mean, they had this big run, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, it's the Chiefs are back." But Tyreek Hill had 10 targets and 60 yards. Tyreek Hill is averaging 11 yards a catch this year and 7.9 yards per target. Hill used to average 16 yards a catch, 17 yards a catch, and 10 yards a target. This is not the same offense. Travis Kelce's looking like an old man. This is not the same dominant offense that it was when Darrell Williams is your main guy on offense. That is not the Chiefs' offense. So this team plays defense. They still have Patrick Mahomes, but it is not the same team. And I think with home field, they were the clear favorite in the AFC, but the Titans have home field. Like if they go to Tennessee or something, like that's not going to be an easy, I think it'll be a pick 'em or something, but
the funny thing is in the first half they were going, the Chiefs were just moving it at will. That was the funny thing. It was easy. They went 3 and out in the first drive and they came very short. They punt. The Bengals do a cowardly punt 4th and inches from like their own 40. Chiefs turn around, score. They convert 1 4th down, and the next play later they score their first touchdown. And then from there the rest of the half. It was just breathtaking how easily they were moving the ball against the Bengals. It was crazy. Darrell Williams couldn't be stopped. The Bengals tried to bring pressure to Mahomes, and it did not work. They were just Mahomes was getting plenty of time still and was picking apart the Bengals. So I think the Bengals in the second half, they adjusted. They stopped trying to blitz Mahomes, and it worked. So I thought that was interesting. All right. Before we got a couple more things to talk about, but quickly, a note from our new sponsor, Skybox. Skybox Sports Network is your hardcore source for odds and sports tickers. Skybox Sports has been creating an entertaining and relevant products for restaurants, sports bars, casinos, race, and sportsbooks, arenas, and stadiums for years. Now you can bring a little Vegas into your fan cave. Skybox's low-cost and state-of-the-art Wi-Fi platform is a simple and affordable plug, play, and activate format. Skybox Sports Tickers brings you live odds, propositions, fantasy scores, hires, fires, trades, breaking news, and recaps with in-depth coverage for the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, PGA, NASCAR, UFC, specialty events, and more. Visit skyboxsportsnetwork.com and use promo code RotoWire5 for a 5% discount off your order. Thanks to Skybox Sports. Thanks to the Blue Wire Network for your hosting of our podcast all season long. And for those ads there, thanks for your indulgence in hearing those ads. Appreciate you guys as the listeners for that. The Cowboys, I mean, they did a lot. I mean, they turned that into a game, which is kind of crazy late because Arizona was just hammering them. But the Cowboys got this run. They got their 2-point conversion to get it within 3 points, but they didn't have any timeouts left. That was probably a fumble on that play, but they couldn't challenge because they were out of timeouts. That's kind of on McCarthy. I mean, you can complain like, okay, maybe it should be automatic, but it's not. The rules are the rules. It was before 2 minutes. I thought that he wasn't down on that play.
You can't need to count on a turnover anyway. I thought it wasn't a fumble, but either way, I mean, it's just like, dude, you basically, your offense didn't do enough, and then your defense had a chance and couldn't close the deal. So if the defense had been superhuman and just stopped them, they would have had a chance to win. But the offense just didn't do enough all game to the point where it was like all or nothing for the defense, and the defense couldn't get it done. I felt like it was they just weren't quite good enough to get in position to have a chance to win. Not only did they not, win, but they didn't even have a chance to get the ball back with a chance to win.
Right.
And so that's like 2 removed, right? If you have a final drive and fall short, you can say, oh, we almost did it. You didn't even get the ball back. So the Cardinals were the better team. They let Dallas back in, but they had enough to close them out. And I'm kind of bummed that I took the Dallas and laid the wood, even though Dallas looked so dominant against Washington the week before. And about recency bias, but I just thought, look, Dallas really hasn't had Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Randy Gregory, all these guys, Diggs, all at once in the lineup, all at once all year until a couple of weeks ago. And ever since they did, their defense has been the best in the NFL. I mean, for a couple of weeks, it just looks nasty. And then the offense got Tyron Smith back, and they, and so I'm like, okay, the Cardinals are in free fall, but
it was a double recency bias. It was
double
great Cowboys and terrible Cardinals.
It was buy low, sell high, but of course, sometimes it's buy high and sell low. When something's in free fall, get rid of it. The Giants were a sell low. Just stop taking the points. They're in free fall, and some teams are a buy high. They keep playing well, keep buying Green Bay. They keep covering. So they didn't cover against the Browns 2 weeks ago. But point is that you want to you can't make any of these rules. I sort of bought into Dallas's defense, but there was that game against Washington before they blew out Washington where they were killing Washington. Then Washington got completely back in the game. And it was like, is Dallas soft? Like, what's their problem? Why can't they finish this? And I felt like Dallas, I mean, this is like a cliche, but they lack heart. They just don't have a lot of heart. They've got the skills, but I just watch them like back there when there's adversity. They just lack heart. They just don't overcome. And that may just be, they've lacked heart so far this year, and that may not be probative of what's going to happen in the playoffs. But it makes it hard for me to really back them, even though I think their players, again, top to bottom of their roster, it's number one. It's the best roster in the league.
Yeah. And it's wild to see that. And I don't know. I mean, what to do with Dallas? In the playoffs, I don't know what to do with them. I mean, who do you trust right now? We've talked about this. How many times have we said who's really good?
I trust the Packers. I trust really just the Packers, because the Bucs, without Godwin, and now Antonio Brown is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, this is thin. Mike Evans is good, but he's not even 100% yet. And Fournette was a pass catcher for them. Now Lev Bell's getting the most snaps among the running backs. I trust the Bucs, but I don't trust them that much. I guess number one, the Packers, number two, the Bucs, number three, the Rams. The Rams are very thin, though. They're so lucky to get Odell Beckham. I was talking about this with Mario. Like, if they didn't get Beckham, their number two receiver is Van Jefferson, who should be like a 3 or 4. They've got this Skoranek guy who's like should be a practice squad guy who's like their number 4 net right now.
No, he's better than that. I think Skoranek's better than that. He was drafted.
He's pretty weak, but like that's it. Like they don't have any depth. He'd be playing like every down if it weren't for Odell Beckham. So they're
by the way, he has worked out.
Oh, he's 5
touchdowns with the Rams.
Well, he caught the game-winning touchdown, and he made a great third down catch too with like one
fourth
hand.
Down catch.
Fourth down catch. Yeah. He's been. They're so lucky they got him when Woods went down. They needed him. The Rams, they're very top heavy with their stars and scrubs. They're real stars and scrubs. And so, really, the Packers in the AFC, the NFC is the team I trust. The AFC, the Bills are the most trustworthy. I don't know. Josh Allen threw a couple of picks this week, and I don't really trust anybody in the AFC. I mean, the Bengals are as good. I mean, you should be excited, man. I mean, they can lose in the first round, but they could also win the. There's really nobody. I think Green Bay is the most complete team, offense, defense. Rodgers is just playing at a level. It's just so easy. I don't see teams. Everybody's open. There's always the right decision. When he's under pressure, he shovel passes to somebody. There's just no sacks. There's no interceptions. Rodgers hasn't fumbled this year. He has 4 picks and no lost fumbles. 3 fumbles, crazy. None lost. I mean, this is clean. And then the defense is pretty good and the running game's good. So this is the best team. And I think they'll probably win the Super Bowl. I mean, there's still a dog versus the field, obviously, but there's just nobody, the Bucs could beat them. The Rams could beat them. Dallas could beat them. Maybe Arizona, but I don't know. You never know. But I think the Packers are by far the team that you'd want. If we're going to do like, okay, you've got one team and I'll give you 3-1 odds. You got to take the Packers, right? There's no one else to take.
Yeah, and you do have them in our side bet, the pick 4 team side bet. You have the Packers, Bucks, Chiefs, and Pats. That's right.
Yeah, I mean my picks have held up decently. The problem is those 2 AFC teams are just like, I'd way rather have the field than the teams I have. Like I have Chiefs and Pats, but you have Titans, Bills, Bengals, and the others. And then in the NFC, I'd rather have mine than the field. I'd rather have Bucks and Packers than the field.
I think that's fair. I mean, it's really, Packers clearly you'd rather have. It's the question is, do you want to have the Bucks or the Cowboys or the Rams, basically?
I mean, I don't know if I would trade my teams for other teams. I might trade the Pats for like the Bills or the Titans, maybe. Mm-hmm. But it's not like if I had to pick 4 right now that I would be that, or I might trade the Pats for the Rams or something, just in the NFC. But do I really want 3 NFC teams for this bet?
Yeah. The Bills might be your fly in the ointment. I actually think the Bills are the best team in the AFC. But the Titans beat them.
And the Bills are on the road. I mean, the Bills right now are the 4 seed. They're behind the Bengals.
I understand all of that, and that's just the problem. I think that they should be the best team, but they played themselves into this position. They are where they are. So that's wild. So, I want to finish with Rashad Penny. Non-playoff note here. Penny went crazy again yesterday. This time, I mean, granted, it was against the Lions, but he's looked really good. It helps be the fresh guy right now. But how many running backs go before him next year? And are you going to be the guy that's taking it?
A lot. Well, it really depends on like the situation, right?
Assuming
Carson,
that he's a starting running back.
I'm just going to start over.
That he's a starting running back.
Okay. 3 things have to obtain. 1, he's a starting running back. 2, clean bill of health in the offseason. No like offseason surgery.
I'm going to assume that too.
Okay. And 3, Russell Wilson is the quarterback or somebody else that's like,
credible.
Yeah. It doesn't have to. I mean, if and this is possible, I don't think this will happen. But Russell Wilson of the Giants for Danny Dimes and their 2 first rounders. Well, in that case, maybe Jones behind a better line would be credible. I don't know, but you definitely be a harder sell for Penny. I think he's like, in my opinion, a 4th round pick. I could see maybe I won't get him. Maybe someone will take him in the 2nd or 3rd, but the injury history is so significant. And
I asked the question, and the response was universally, "I won't be there for that." Oh, 20, but I'm not going there. 27, I think I'm going to
27 overall or 27 in
27 running backs.
No way. He'll be the 4th round pick.
I have a feeling I'm going to get a lot of him this next year because I want to get some of these receivers early. And
that'll be the guy. Well, I mean, there'll be him. There'll be Ramondre Stevenson. Like, where's he going next year?
Well, it depends. I mean, Damian Harris still exists,
right? But
Damian Harris is really good.
He's pretty good.
He just gets hurt in his own respect, but.
So you got Ramondre, you got Javonte Williams, right? Like, is Melvin Gordon still going to be there? So, like, where's he going to go? You have guys like DeAndre Swift. Where's he going to go? You've got guys like, there's a lot of running backs in this area. Swift will probably be a little higher, but there's a lot of running backs in this area that are in play, and so there's the obvious running backs, but then there's, where's Zeke Elliott going to go next year?
I would I'm going to stake one claim: Penny over Elliott next year.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go wrong fading Elliott at this point because he just doesn't have much left. But
yeah, I have Elliott in a couple championship games, so I was a little extra salty today. Yes,
I had him in mind, but luckily Elijah Mitchell and Ramondre took care of it.
Yeah. So I need Deontay, I need Chubb, I need both tonight. I've got some chances. One I've already lost for sure, but I need Deontay to go off. So we'll see. Probably won't happen. Cleveland's actually a pretty good defense. So probably.
Where's Deontay going? And we don't know who the quarterback is. Where's Chase going? Yeah. What about Chase? End of 1st round?
I think 2nd round, like kind of where Jefferson was going last year, is where I'd put Chase.
Yeah, but Jefferson should have been a 1st rounder at the end. So like,
exactly.
I think Chase goes like 112, 110. I mean, the talent is just off the scale, man. And he's got Burrow, and they're just like totally connected. I mean,
Bengals are going to be expensive in drafts next year. That's
Higgins and Boyd are still there, so like, and they're good and they're going to get targets, but it'd be weird to have.
Think how they got that. They got Higgins at 2.1 last year. Think about that they got him too as another guy they can build around. Now, I think Burrow helps make him a little bit. It's always, when you go back and look at these drafts, it's always like, okay, well, yeah, he's a bust, but then you look at who they have as a quarterback throwing it to him too. Sometimes you look at system, you look at environment, and that makes a big difference too.
Oh, it's huge. But I think I think Jefferson, Chase, Adams, if he's with Rodgers, Kupp, probably. I mean, I don't know. And who am I missing? Adams, Kupp. I mean, I don't think Debo will be a first rounder. He doesn't get enough targets. But
Hopkins is long gone now from that.
Hopkins is gone. Metcalf. Oh, thanks for nothing, dude. Oh, now you get your 3 touchdowns. After those teams are gone. The team that was the Huevos League, that was the 6th seed, but I got knocked out because a lower seed had more points. The last seed's more points. But as Bennett was talking about, our producer on XM, he's like, it shouldn't be most points if you're the 6th most guy. It should just be if you're like the 2nd or 3rd, top 3 in points, and you weren't going to make the playoffs. So some guy beats me on points, even though I had more points than the 4th seed. Why don't you just knock out the 4th seed then? Why are you knocking off the guy with more points, but the 6th seeded wins, right? So you're like half and half. So that team had Rashad Penny, DK Metcalf, Rex Burkhead, Devin Singletary, all these guys that went crazy in the playoffs. And of course, like, it didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, when you're counting on Rex Burkhead to carry you to the playoffs,
Beasthead. No, Beasthead is not. Never knock Beasthead. Do not knock Beasthead.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for today. Thanks to WynnBET for their sponsorship all season long. We got one more week of the regular season, then we got playoffs. So thanks everybody for listening. Good luck, and if you need something tonight, take care. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.